So when you talk about a chosen one, and you hear people coming around telling you different things such as, oh, that is a conspiracy theorist, that is ego, you know, that is a illusion, you think better than the other ones, and so on and so forth, and they are telling you different types of stories. You've got to realize those are the people that are scared of your truth. Those are the people that want you to stay in the dark. They want you to stay in the dark because your rising is going to crumble their foundation. Now, chosen ones is not a myth. Listen to me, chosen ones, okay? The ones who get it, get it. The terminology chosen ones is not a myth. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's not an illusion. The reason why people are running very far, doing what they can do, is because they are afraid of your truth. They know you have got a truth within you, and they do not know what they are going to do when you start speaking your truth. Let me give you an example of the black sheep. Let's talk about the black sheep, for example. So, when I was in the dysfunctional matrix, I realized that my narcissistic parent never really wanted me to say a lot of things. And sometimes they're doing this thing unconsciously. It starts one step at a time, little by little. So you have a truth. You have something you can see and you can understand. You can overstand. What they are doing now, they try to suppress that truth by putting you in some kind of a trauma loop. So this is where you are constantly traumatized. You are afraid of being sent out of the family unit. You're afraid of being denied a meal at home. You're afraid of everybody isolating you. So what they are now doing, they are keeping you in that state of trauma because they want you to stay in a loop where you are not able to realize your truth. So in most of the cases, the reason why you have usually been silenced, that is because they knew on the subconscious level you was going to say the truth. And the truth is a double-edged sword where a lot of people cannot even stand your own truth. Even you, just by being authentic and speaking what it is that is on your soul, on your heart, a lot of people can't stand it. That is your truth. It is exactly what they are running from. You see, once you awaken and you start realizing your own power that has always been hidden from you for a very long time by design. This has been by design. Okay, some people want to call it the matrix. Some people want to talk about the forces that control. It has been done by design, and they have been using different agents for this cause. So it was the parents, it was the family members, it was the relatives, it was the classmates. It was all by design. You awaken and then you start to realize there is a lot of people, many of them like you, that have also been hidden somewhere in the gutter and prevented to wake up. Because you see, this trauma, the reason why you have experienced the highest degree and level of trauma, that is because there was forces that was fighting against you in the dark. Because by you staying in these trauma loops, suffering after suffering, homelessness, joblessness, relationship problems, this, finances, health problems, and everything, they thought or they believed it was for the benefit of not you taking time to understand what is going on around you so you would never awaken. It was all meant and designed to suppress your awakening. How is it a coincidence that you're now starting to see many chosen ones waking up, and the very first thing they talk about, oh, the narcissistic parent, and this and this, and this and that. That is their language. Because you have been dealing with the agents of the enemy, the agents of the devil. Those was the devil's agents. They was assigned systematically into your life to keep you in lower states of consciousness, because that is exactly what they was afraid about. If you would raise your consciousness, you would awaken. And that was their biggest problem. They never wanted you to wake up. So when you awaken, you start to experience a lot of these agent Smiths. They're coming around in your vicinity. I remember when I awakened in the early years. So there was these family members, you know. So they started coming around and telling me that narcissism was a good thing. Oh, narcissism is a good thing, you know. They were sending me some articles, you know, a person has to be narcissist and this and this. So they was now telling me those things. This was a conversation we have never had before. For as long as I remember, we've never talked about narcissism. It was a conversation I've never had before. Now all of a sudden they are here. They are telling me about narcissism. Oh, you know, narcissism is a good thing. Everybody should be a narcissist. Listen to me, chosen ones. Listen to me very closely. Sharpen your ears. Anybody trying to come into your life and telling you that nonsense, and you seeing them standing behind the narcissist, those are the problem. Let me repeat this for you one more time. Anybody coming into your life and you seeing them supporting maybe your narcissistic parent, maybe they are supporting your narcissistic friend that you're trying to get rid of, maybe they are supporting your narcissistic boss at work. That is exactly the problem. Those are the bots that have been keeping you asleep for a very long time. They are one of the problem, part of the problem. You have got to realize, chosen ones, there is so many people that hoping and wish you never wake up. There is a lot of people hope and wish you never wake up. Because you see, one of the things you need to realize, there's a lot of people who depend on controlling you. They depend on controlling you. Their life depends on controlling you, because when they lose control, they fall apart. That is this entire game of narcissistic abuse. When they lose control, they fall apart. So the only way they can stay on top of the game is by keeping you under control. Because you see, when you awaken, for example, you're black sheep of the family, and you realize you've been dealing with a narcissistic parent, the very first thing you do, you walk away. That is exactly what happens. Is why you see a lot of people have been hoping you will stay asleep. So as you see people waking up now, a lot of chosen ones are starting to discover who they are, what has exactly been going on for the longest of time, who has been destroying them, who has been doing this. They're waking up. There's also people who are there to counter the awakening. Because you see, when you're awakening, one of the things you do, you take back power from these people. You say, okay, you have been running the show for a very long time. I'm taking back my power. Now, when you do take back your power, these people become useless. Are you following, chosen ones? They become useless because now they realize that they never had any power at all. From the very beginning, that narcissistic parent of yours, they're now starting to realize they never really had any power over you. That narcissistic friend who used to push your buttons day in, day out, they are now starting to realize they never really had any power over you. You was always the main deal. Okay? You was always the generator. The only thing that what they was doing, They was plugged into your energy, and they was turning out to be powerful, appearing to be powerful, but you was the real deal the whole time. Now, when you awaken, you're taking back the power. You're like, okay, no, listen, I've listened to you. You've listened to your narcissistic parents for the last 10, 15 years, whatever, 40 years. I don't know how old you are. And now you're like, okay, now it's time to play according to my rules. Okay? You now choose to play according to your rules because you're no longer going to follow their rules. Now, what they are doing, they're in panic. So the very first thing they do, so this scenario, by the way, I'm expanding this scenario, but actually I'm trying to make you understand this scenario by giving you an example of the narcissistic family dynamic. The members are going to come around when you wake up, when you start waking up and questioning everything. They will come around and they'll tell you, oh, you know, Dad is a very good man. So everything he was doing, he's doing it for your highest good. You know, he has always been on your side and all these kind of sweet, sweet little things, because that's where they wanted you to be. Because now you're waking up and they're feeling they're going to detach. They're feeling that now, because you know the truth, you're going to take that power away from them. And that was their life support. Are you following, chosen ones? So you're following how this whole thing of trauma works, the abuse and everything. The reason why a lot of people have been kept in very toxic loops. So they try to counter your awakening. For me, I've told you, there was family members who came around. Oh, you know, narcissism, because I discovered narcissism at that time. You know, narcissism was the trigger of my awakening. So they come around, oh, you know, narcissism is a good thing. And, you know, the narcissists are supposed to be this and they're, you know. And now I was starting to realize that these people was the problem all along. All this time I was thinking, what was the problem? The problem was inside. The problem was inside my own home. The problem was around me the whole time. Ladies and gentlemen, there's no amount of preparation you will never prepare for the awakening to realize the problem has always been with you. Every time when you was trying to speak, that was what, you know, like, guys, you need to understand something. Life is spiritual. You have got to understand, life is spiritual. The people that have been around you, I've told you, ladies and gentlemen, the matrix is not a system. It is not like a building. It is not an office. The matrix is like the illusion, the false illusion. Okay, that whole thing they told you, family, you know, that is your brother, that is your mother. It's all an illusion. The moment you wake up and you understand that your family was not that family that you thought it was, I can promise you, ladies and gentlemen, you are free. You will now realize these people have always been there. And the entire mission, their entire mission from day one was to keep you in the loop. Go on, go ahead, do what you've been doing, give them supply, you know, all that kind of stuff. Give them supply, give them fuel, keep on feeding their egos, and then they can continue living. Because when you wake up, it's gone. You're gone, ladies and gentlemen. When you wake up, they know it's game over. Those narcissist parents of yours, they know it's going to be game over. So when you ever find yourself, you're struggling with somebody who always shows up to tell you that this whole thing is a myth. Oh, that thing is a myth. Those chosen ones, they are just this big ego, you know. Who on this planet has got an ego that is bigger than that one of the narcissist? But the moment you wake up, they're going to be the first ones to come in the comment section. Ah, they think they are better than the rest. Because for the very first time, they're realizing they never had power. Are you following, chosen ones? For the very first time, they were realizing that even with all those billions and money in their bank account, all with those mansions and everything, they never had any power. You was the real deal the whole time. But for them to operate, it was very necessary to keep you in the loop. They are realizing they never had power. Let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. Those people that come around to tell you you are dreaming, you're a conspiracy theorist, those was the problem. the whole time. They were the problem. You just didn't know it. So chosen ones is not a myth, is what I'm trying to tell you. Chosen ones is not a myth. You understand? If it was a myth, then what is the problem? Why have you been trying to be suppressed your entire life? Why have you always been suppressed? Why has everybody tried to keep your mouth shut? Why nobody always allowed you to speak your truth? Why is it that whenever you try to rise, there's people that came to suppress you to keep you back in a little box? That is because they was afraid of who you are. So chosen ones is not a myth. Those are all things of conspiracy theorists. Those are the people, the agents, the Smiths, that are trying to come around and tell you that, oh, you know, those are ones that are conspiracy theorists. You need to go and read those books. The whole truth is in the book. Who told you that? Who told you? Who wrote the book? So who wrote that book? The one you're following and telling you the truth. The truth is not in the books. You know? Yes, there's people who was awakened souls who have written some books, very powerful ones, I understand. But it's not everything you read in the book is true. Somebody just went down, thought about something, wrote a book, and now you're following the script. It's not in the book. Why do you think a lot of chosen ones are school dropouts? Think about it. Why do you think a lot of chosen people, they have dropped out of school? Many of them have already a long time left their families. They're running, they're writing, they have already written their own script. They have created their own life. They are following their own script, and they still made it. Many of them don't even have bachelor's degrees, all those degrees that people have read and what do they call those diplomas and all those stuff. They have not. Yes, some of them have done their studies and everything. But the thing is, the entire script was meant to keep you asleep, to keep you in that state where you will never remember who you are. Because when you remember who you are, your narcissistic parent is not valid anymore. Your narcissistic boss at work, they can no longer get your supply, you're going to leave the job. Anybody that has been controlling your life from day one, they're going to lose control. That is what they was scared about. So if you've been in a place, for example, and you experienced the mobbing, that narcissistic mobbing, where you had a lot of teams ganging up against you, that is because they wanted you to play small, to keep on small, to crawl, and you go around and you kiss everybody's feet. Because they wanted you in that loop where you're traumatized, you're scared, you cannot rise, you cannot perform, you cannot even think for yourself. So you're in a little box whereby you have to submit to the big controllers, the narcissistic people. So whenever you try to question something at job, they will put you down. Oh, if you don't stop talking, we're going to fire you. That kind of BS. If you don't stop talking, we fire you. Go and do it like the rest. Why are you talking too much? Don't ask too much and all that stuff. The entire game was to keep you in the loop. Are we together, guys? You know? So you need to realize that this whole thing, the entire thing was meant to keep you small. This whole thing of chosen ones is not a myth, okay? You guys need to realize it is real. They're the guys who are all about the truth. Let us know what you think about the video. You guys know I do love and appreciate your support. Please book a session if you want to. You may donate or support my channel if you want to. Everything you need, you will find it in the description below. And until then, I will see you guys in my next one. There's Amos signing out. Much love and blessings. Peace.